Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network. Welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. We're live here with you for another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. It is Friday night into Saturday morning. Thanks for being with us here. 11th of February, 2012, going into the 10th, rather, of February, going into the 11th, 2012. And we're going to be getting into some news and information for you here tonight as well, maybe some emails, and our continued series of reading of Zechariah Sitchin's The End of Days. Now, last night on the broadcast, we had some major technical issues going on, and it was pretty apparent that we were under a severe attack last night. Our servers were receiving an attack, and that was verified by reports from the server company, and as well as listeners out there who, we had people that were listening on the stream. I got emails from people who were saying that, they were listening for an hour and a half before the show was live last night, and there was, no problems whatsoever. And then right before showtime, it started cutting out a little bit, and then even more. And so the archive was broken into two pieces, and I don't think the archive wasn't complete. And so a lot of the reading, I guess, from last night got hosed. And John Doe in the chat room suggested I start reading, or read over chapter 9 or whatever. To be honest with you, I kind of stopped in the middle of a chapter last night, so I'm just going to back up a few pages, a little bit, and start from there. I'm not going to reread all that stuff I read last night, because to be honest with you, it was a bunch of stuff out of the Bible, and it was really not really that important to me, and not important enough to me to go over it again, because it's all just Bible stuff. It didn't really have any sort of extra adding on to, you know what I mean? You would expect it to be like, okay, here's something from the Bible, and here's, Zechariah Sitchin's spin on it, or what have you. And you didn't get that in those parts. So I'm just going to back up a few pages and start from there tonight, because I really don't want to read a lot of that stuff again. If it was really good, juicy stuff, and it was stuff that I felt was important, believe me, I would read it again, but it really wasn't. I really wasn't having that much fun reading it anyway, so. But we'll pick up, we're a couple pages back from where we left off last night. And, that was definitely an attack, because normally the stream, even if the stream is having problems, the archive, is fine, because that's recording separately and everything. It records an MP3, and that doesn't have anything to do with it. So they were specifically hitting my computer last night. They were hitting both the server end, that has the stream, but they were also hitting my computer that outputs the signal, it's the radio show itself, through the Ethernet cable into the router and sends it to the server, which sends it out to all of you. So some kind of, man in the middle attack or something like that. Crazy shit. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. That's www.theglobalreality.com. I taped my newest 2-hour installment today for Red Ice Radio, and it'll be airing in a couple of weeks. So thanks to Henrik Palmgren for having me on over there and going to the show. Anyway, I thought it went pretty good. Still didn't feel like I got into a lot of things that I really wanted to get into. to be honest with you, to be 100% completely honest with you. And I kind of felt like we skirted some of the key issues about the film, but you can't win them all, I guess. But I think people still get something out of it, and I still think it was. I enjoyed doing it, and it was, I think it's good. I think it's going to be more exposing my stuff to people who haven't heard my stuff before. But I don't know. I guess maybe I'm my own worst critic. I kind of felt like there were other things I didn't get deep. I didn't think we got enough. Actually, at all, we didn't really talk much at all about the Johnny Goss, Jeff Gannon thing, Michael Aquino. That's really a key part of it to me, or the Anthony J. Hilder stuff. Really, I mean, I brought it up, but he didn't bring it up at all. And so the stuff with the CMP and the JBA, the John Birch Society and the CMP having dual members in CFR, who didn't really get into that. But none of the Jeff Gannon, Johnny Goss stuff at all. Michael, we didn't get into that. He didn't ask anything about Alex Jones at all. He didn't ask anything about that, or Ron Paul. But we did talk about Adnan Khashoggi and got into that stuff. But I don't know. I just feel like there was. I mean, I'm being completely honest here. I'm not going to get up here and sugarcoat the shit for you. I felt like there were some things that we didn't get into that I felt were key information. So I hope that there was enough in the interview, for people to who haven't heard my stuff before to at least check the film out. And I think there was, but I did enjoy it. I'm not talking negatively about it or the experience. Dude, Henrik Palmgren's a fantastic radio host, and he's a great. He just does his job really well, and I really enjoy going on the show. But at the same time, I don't know. I kind of have a thing for when I go on radio shows. I kind of have a list in my head of things that I feel are the tip top points that need to be hit on. And I guess when at the end of an interview, if I feel like those, that list of those key points wasn't fulfilled to my expectations, sometimes I kind of look, but like when I went on with Lee last time with Lee Rogers, the last show we did, I thought that was a great show. We got into, got really deep into it. It was fantastic. So, I guess with that Lee Rogers show and the new, the 2-hour Red Eye show I just did, I guess that'll be a kind of a nice little, companion set there. But I haven't really done a proper, radio show yet, just dedicated to the new film. You know what I mean? Going through it, because I wanted to do something where I was like going to go, read through the script on air. And because it's kind of like reading, when I read the books on air, if I'm reading the script while I'm going on air and reading it here to you all, what that does is it'll trigger things, and it'll trigger some of these, different tangents of research and stuff. So I want to try and do that, something like that at some point, just to have, a show here on from my show that's just dedicated to those different things. I've just been waiting for a bit to do that because I wanted to wait until more people had seen the film and didn't want to let the cat out of the bag. So that might come down the road. But anyway, just wanted to give you guys the update on that. Say I almost fucking slept in and missed it. I woke up like 6 minutes till the interview was supposed to start, man. I was like, shit. And I saw Henrik had hit me on Skype. I was like, man, can you give me like a little bit, like 10, 15 minutes? And, but we got it done. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. But like I said, I do still feel like, there were things that we didn't get out. And it's kind of astonishing that there are so few. It shows you who really has the courage. I mean, you can say what you want about Lee Rogers, you can say what you want about Henrik Palmgren, but I'll say this about both those guys. They're the only two people that have had me on yet about this stuff, about this film specifically. And it seems that everybody else is trying to do like they did before and just, run the ignore campaign yet again. And you know what? You guys can try that, but you may win the battle, but you're not going to win the war. Because I have seen how things that I've created through the years now, internet videos and stuff, all this stuff, it just has ripples and repercussions across years and time more than you foresee at the moment in which you release those films. You know, they really do. Every day I see stuff. You know, I get comments from people who say that they saw 9/11 New World Rising. That was the first 9/11 film they ever saw. It woke them up to 9/11. That's how fucking crazy is that? Never thought that would happen. Never thought that would happen at all. But you see how these different things, you know, reach different people at different times. And people, I can still get comments from the pineal gland video that I made from the Reality of Illusion series. By the way, that Reality of Illusion series thing, that's an ongoing series. That's not done by any means. There'll be more installments of those, you know, in the coming months and stuff. I'm going to be doing some of those, some more of those. But I only do those with topics that I feel like I can really, you know, get to the punchline to very quickly, you know, in a small, rapid succession. But I had, a couple years ago, I had come across this information. I had some downtime one night, and I was relaxed. It was around the holidays. And I was watching these bonus discs from the Star Trek, the box set of the, you know, all the Enterprise crew movies, you know, with William Shatner and all that stuff. And I was watching these extras on here. They had this thing, the Captain Summit, where they're all talking about. And in the middle of this, William Shatner starts talking about, you know, the use of models, and these describing the models that were used to hoax the moon landing. And boy, I tell you what, I had to I think I eventually shut down comments on that thing. That thing got a shit ton of hits. I mean, it's had, I don't know, I say a shit ton. It didn't get as many as the goddamn honey badger with a gay guy talking over it. 38 million or however, you know, the fuck. Don't get me on that train again. We already went there once. But you know, for me, small, you know, 60,000 views or something, or 70,000 or 80,000 views for me for one video. So that's fucking, you know, that's huge for me. May not be for the honey badger, but for me it is. And so that William Shatner video had gotten a fuck ton of hits, and people just, you know, all kinds of hate and vitriol. There was such a campaign and an operation going on there for a long time. I could tell it was bots. There's people coming and posting like 50 times a day the same thing over and over again. This hateful bullshit. You could tell it was just bots. You know, nobody's got that much time to dedicate to leaving comments on one video over and over again. But very interesting stuff. I got to tell you this. I don't know if you guys have seen any of these movies. I've looked into and been researching a lot of the moon hoax stuff for years, and I've talked about it on shows and done shows about it, and extensively. And it's been, you know, an area of my research. And I got an email today, and I mean, it's just a case in point of what I was saying a minute ago about how, you know, you make these films, you put this stuff out, and you don't even know how, you know, years later, this stuff. I think I put that moon thing out in like 2009. So here we are in 2012. And apparently my research and my work in that caught the attention of the guys at moonmovie.com. And these are the producers of such films as A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, Astronauts Gone Wild, and a lot of you have seen that. I mean, it's unbelievable. These are like, you know, the big names of, you know, the moon hoax conspiracy stuff. And listen to this. It says, "Hi, Josh. I ran across one of your YouTube videos featuring William Shatner's revelation that he and other Star Trek cast members were invited to NASA in order to boost, pun intended, support of the Apollo program. It is very likely that Gene Roddenberry was also invited to participate. Star Trek first aired the pilot on NBC in October of 1966, and the last episode aired on March 14th, 1969. I could go on, but you get the point. This pilot episode aired during the beginning stages of the first successful launches, and only whistleblowers Gus Grissom and Thomas Barron set them back on their course towards full public acceptance. What surprised me even more about your video is your claim that an SS Nazi officer involved in war crimes, see Aaron Rainan's film, consulted on the set of Star Trek. Yes, he was the head of NASA's Saturn program and our ICBM nuclear launch program, but I had no idea that he was involved with Star Trek. Many people would see this as merely a promotional attempt by NASA, but knowing what I know about the hoax, I see it as you do. Another part of the public mind control methodology so we could get the funding to develop a cover program while the U.S. and the Soviets worked together to weaponize space. Bingo. God damn, that's fucking exciting to see that somebody else out there gets it. And somebody, man, that's fucking great. Yes, that's exactly what I haven't followed anybody else's research in that. That's exactly what my own research has told me. We know that both Arthur C. Clarke and Stanley Kubrick were also heavily consulted by NASA officials. I have a picture of them all walking together with NASA bigwigs on a movie set. Frederick Ordway, Deke Slayton, George Mueller, and 2 others unidentified. This new revelation of yours may implicate Irwin Allen as well. I have little doubt that the cast and producers of Lost in Space were invited as well, airing at that same time from 1965 to 1968. In closing, I wonder if you would consider interviewing one of our contributing editors. He is the leading moon landing hoax researcher in the world right now, and I believe he would come on your show, that is, if you have guests. Well, absolutely, I have guests. You guys hearing this? I'm getting scrambled. You guys hear that? You guys hear that? That was blatant right there. Wow. Wow, that's, you see, it sounded like they were, somebody was running a theremin in the background. You hear that? Oh, come on, guys. This is the 21st century. It's 2012. You guys NSA, fuck with your stream technology. Can't get any better than this. It sounds like a goddamn theremin. Come on, guys. I must be low down on your budget priority if that's the best you got. Please. Thank you. You guys done? Yeah, because after I insulted your fucking 1960s technology, Christ. You guys bugging Al Capone? Are you bugging me with the same shit you bugged Al Capone with? Sounds like ancient shit. Good God. That came out of J. Edgar Hoover's fucking closet or something. The same closet he kept his goddamn dresses in. That's just over the top. That's just over the top. 2 nights ago. I'd like to continue here. In closing, I was wondering if you would consider interviewing one of our contributing editors. He is a leading moon landing hoax researcher in the world right now, and I believe he would come on your show if if you have guests. He lives in Australia, and I could ask him once you approve the idea. He is the big thing in the moon landing hoax movement, confronting officials, astronauts, and alleged experts on NASA, the propagandists, as he calls them. I am proud to call him my friend. His name is Jara White, and learn more at moonfaker.com. Kind regards, Will Tracer, Director of Operations, Chief Researcher, moonmovie.com. So that's awesome. Wow. Yeah, well, I don't know if he's going to listen to the show or not, but yeah, I'll get in contact with you about having that guy on. Yeah, I sure. Guy wants to come on and talk a little bit about the moon landing hoax stuff, and he's the top guy in the world. Shit, man. Yeah, I'll do it. But yeah, that's just awesome. These guys. I've seen a lot of those movies that they've done, and they're really good. A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, well researched stuff. Astronauts Gone Wild is one of my favorites. I know Lee Rogers. I know Lee Rogers loves that one too. That's what I know. It's one of his favorites. Me and Lee Rogers have talked about that one before. Astronauts Gone Wild. You guys haven't seen that shit? If you haven't seen Astronauts Gone Wild, you have to see it. That's one of my favorites. So that's really cool. I just think that's awesome, because that really, honest to God, is one of my favorite movies, Astronauts Gone Wild. And so, the fact that, I really wasn't trying to contribute to, the breadth of research that's already been done in the larger community for, the moon landing stuff. But I just saw that and didn't see anybody else had pointed that out. So I was like, this needs to be pointed out. So I made the little video and pointed it out. And that was 2009. Here it is 2012. And that thing has had a ripple effect, to now. And, it's from this guy's email here that I just read. That's adding pieces to the puzzle. That's you don't understand how gratifying that is. That right there is why I do this, man. That right there, because that's significant. That just, my research and the years of research and work that I've done just collated and tied in and made it click for someone else who has been researching stuff like this for years and years and years and putting everything in their life into it. And now that people like us are starting to find each other and share information and data, oh man, this is going to be dangerous, baby. Dangerous. And again, you don't have to have a leader. You don't have to have a group or a clique or anything else, anything else like that. Just people sharing information. And I personally, for one, think that's fantastic. And so I just really felt really good about that email, because I've seen these guys work before, and the fact that I've apparently because that him seeing that's why I make films at all. It's because I know that no matter how many people see or don't see my films, it's just like records, man. There's this mythology that I always talk about with bands and records. You will always hear the bands and the music that you are supposed to hear when you're supposed to hear them. Meaning, sometimes you'll hear a band, you'll be like, man, fuck, who are these guys? Like earlier, I was playing Drive-By Truckers. People, hey, who are these guys? And that's how it was when I got into them. I was like, fuck, how come I hadn't been listening to these guys my whole life? They're fucking fantastic, And so, it's kind of that same way. And that's why I make films, because I know that somebody somewhere out there is going to see something in one of these films and it's going to click with something else they already know to be true, or something from something they've experienced, something they have information about, whatever have you. It's, it's a ripple effect thing, man. It's, you just that when you have information about something that's, pretty conclusive, that you can cause, a synchronization of information and things to be collated and brought together for a wider view and a wider perspective that wouldn't have been possible any other way. But that's why I do it right there, because man, that's just fantastic. To see somebody see a piece of information that I put out and go, oh man, and that's what I'm getting more and more lately. And I think that's what I think is the best thing about that is that it shows me that people are actually starting to do their own research. They really are. There's still a lot of people that aren't, but there are more people who are actively actually researching this stuff on their own now than there used to be. And that is fantastic news. Fantastic news. Regardless of how bad things are, folks, I always believe it's important to celebrate the little victories that we have, the little things that we have. But, instead of dwelling on, oh, we're fucked all the time. Because I'll tell you this, there are more of you here now than there was when I started doing this radio show back in September 2007. And so because of that, it shows that as long as you stick to doing what you're doing, it's, people are going to pay attention eventually. But it also shows that when you have more people that are aware of this stuff, the faster that you're able to spread the information around, and the more people you're going to have an opportunity to reach. So yeah, that's a really crazy thing. Nikola Tesla here is this guy's handle here. He says, "Hey Josh, tell them that their interference sounded like a lame queef." Yeah, it is kind of. I got one for him though.
Hey, you with the NSA? Yeah, it's your buddy. It's old buddy, old pal Satan here. Yeah, hey, I'll tell you what, NSA. I'll tell you what, CIA. I'll tell you what, NRO. All you fucking tracking stations out there, suck Satan's cock.
Well, thank you, Satan, for giving us your little 2 cents there. We appreciate that. But yeah, that was horrible sounding. It sounded like some old fucking Tesla coil firing up in the background. It's like, a theremin thrown in there and a fucking analog monophonic Moog or something with a broken filter while you're stabbing it with a fucking spoon. You guys got to get some better tech than that. Fucking tracking me with the old fucking J. Edgar Hoover from the J. Edgar Hoover collection. I just get images of those. Remember in the Blues Brothers where they're like they have a budget for how much they're expending to capture the Blues Brothers. That's what I get in mind. You know, they've surpassed the budget for monitoring Reeves. We have to send in the J. Edgar Hoover collection. Oh man, it's out of control. My email address, if you'd like to send in an email tonight or anytime, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. It's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. Love to have emails from everybody out there and appreciate all those. And definitely send them over there anytime you like. Let me see if I have any more emails here. And yes, I am aware that Google is Echelon and Google is the NSA. And if I have a Gmail account, everything goes through them. Yeah, I'm aware of that. I knew that when I started this email address in 2007 when I started the show. But because that's how much of a fuck I don't give, because I mean, I'm not saying anything in my emails that I would want them to see. Fuck them. They can go. I'll let them see all my fucking fantastic emails that people send saying how much they enjoy the information and whatnot. That'll really shine them on. Yeah, fuck them. Let them see them. I don't care. Seriously, if you have any sort of idea that you can mask your identity on the internet, buddy, I mean, I'm sorry. I hate that to bust your bubble. As soon as you put yourself on the internet, you are tracked. You are tracked. They've got you. You can use all the anonymous shit you want to use, but when you go on the net, you're tracked. Doesn't matter. It's just the way it is. And each and every one of us actively participates and actively involves ourselves in this. And that's why I don't spend too much harping and time and bitching about it. I mean, I hate it and want it gone as much as anybody else. At the same time, I can't really say anything bitch about it because I actively participate in it. It's hard, but I have to actively participate in the internet because that's what my work requires. So, I got over that a long time ago. They're watching everything we do and they record everything we do and everything goes into databases for permanently. I mean, your whole entire history from the time you first got on the internet till now is stored somewhere. They've come out with those admissions. So I don't know. I just don't get too hung up on they're tracking everything I do on the internet stuff anymore because, I don't know. Frankly, they're gonna see everything you do anyway. I don't get hung up on it. But if somebody else wants to, that's fine. That's their business. But I'm not worried about it. Well, let's see what else we have here in the mailbag tonight. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this only because I don't believe it and I never have. And my research is not, back this up. A lot of people are hung up on this because Bill Cooper said it was true. And so everybody just believed it was true because he said it was true. And, he, was somebody who was capable of making mistakes just like all of us. But yeah, I've addressed this many times on the show. People often ask me about supposed driver shooting JFK in the head and all this stuff. And look, honestly, I don't believe that. We've got multiple witnesses on the grassy knoll who saw, heard the shot and saw smoke coming from the area at the lower fence area that was the perfect shot, spot for the headshot. And the force in which his head went backwards, you can see it when you slow it down. You can actually see the bullet coming from that direction and spike. I mean, right when it hits his head, you can tell that's what it is. So no, I don't get into the driver shot JFK stuff. I would probably more aptly believe that Jacqueline Bouvier shot him before I would believe that the other driver shot him, because I think the evidence is a hoax. I think it's bullshit. There were multiple witnesses who saw that last shot when his own head was almost torn off, heard it coming from the perfect spot over there where they found muddy footprints and cigarette butts and everything else, and saw a puff of smoke coming from there and heard the shot come from there. The lack of eyewitnesses who were right there on top of the car when it was going by on both sides of the grassy knoll, the lack of any of these people ever saying anything about ever seeing, not even one person, about seeing a driver with a gun. The evidence of the smoke behind the fence and the shot coming from there, multiple witnesses there. We have to go with what the evidence is that we have. I don't believe that. And you're not going to convince me otherwise. I've looked at it. And that's just my opinion. So there you go. I haven't talked about this week. Everybody's been making videos and website posts about the Madonna Super Bowl halftime thing. And I didn't even bring that up this week. And it's funny that I didn't bring that up, considering that I predicted that was going to happen last year when the Super Bowl was in Dallas, before they ever announced that Madonna was even going to be there. Those people who have been listening to my show since then and before will remember that. Last year I talked about that and said that I was joking around. I said, I was making fun because when the Super Bowl was in Dallas last year, I was thinking of all the musical acts that have come from Texas, they could have got for the first Super Bowl in Dallas. And of all the acts they could have got, they had the fucking Black Eyed Peas. And I said, really, in 2011, the best we could get at the Super Bowl in Dallas was the Black Eyed Peas. So that tells me that in 2012, they're probably just going to roll out the fucking Whore of Babylon and just go ahead and just roll out Madonna with the Whore of Babylon at the Super Bowl halftime in 2012. Watch. And I'll be goddamned if they didn't announce that Madonna was going to be the fucking Super Bowl guest. And then I was sitting there watching the fucking Super Bowl halftime, and what goes on? There comes the motherfucking Roman chariots wheeling her ass out. Like Ishtar, like Nana, the goddess, rolling her out. And then they're rolling around on this like Viking looking thing. The symbology was rampant, and everybody's been talking about it. So I hadn't even brought it up this week, but I just thought it was this high novelty, very high novelty that I had joked around about that when the Super Bowl was in Dallas last year. I said, watch, they'll probably roll out Madonna, express yourself, and roll out some, Whore of Babylon shit. Sure enough. That's why I try not to get into the habit of making jokes about any of this stuff anymore, because it seems like every time I make a joke about some of this stuff, they end up doing it. You done now? Thanks. Appreciate that. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, I guess that's all we have. Thought I had more email than that. No, I guess that's it. All right, let's get into some news stories here tonight. Do you guys see this this article from MSNBC I guess it's a anti-Ron Paul article, and they're chastising him for his affiliation with Gary Franchi. God, really? I mean, I just thought this was so funny. Really, Gary Franchi's part of this op now too. I met that dude. I don't know, before I was even doing radio shows. I met him at some Ron Paul thing in Fort Worth. I just thought that's funny. So I guess Franchi's now I don't know. He associates with some of those CMP types, and he's done radio shows with a lot of them. He's kind of been on my radar as a suspect individual for a while, but yeah, I just think it's funny. That's who MSNBC chooses. Now they're going after the, Ron Paul Super PAC is operated by a 9/11 truther. And, again, this brings up the point I brought up many times is that, this is the kind of thing that it's the same thing as the white supremacist stuff. It has less to do with whether or not Ron Paul himself is a 9/11 truther, and it has less to do with whether or not Ron Paul himself is a white supremacist or, a KKK member or whatever have you. And more to do with the fact that Ron Paul is a politician, and he will smile and support, whatever groups are going to give him the most money. So he will go on Alex Jones and say, yeah, I believe we need a new 9/11 investigation. Absolutely. We never did get the truth on that. And then they ask him about it on TV. He's like, oh, no, I disavow those people. And then he goes and meets with white supremacists and says, oh, yeah, absolutely. I have your support. I'll definitely support your cause. The white supremacists give him a bunch of money for his campaign. And then somebody says, hey, what about the white supremacists? And Ron Paul says, I don't know anything about that. Hangs them out to dry. But it's this agreement, where I'm going to be there for your causes, but I'm not going to be there for your causes if anybody asks me. And that's exactly how Ron Paul does business. And you may say that, well, that's how he has to do it, blah, blah, blah. Well, no. No, that's shady. That's who you want to trust running your fucking government? No, hell no. Five-hour energy drink inventor revealed to be a Buddhist monk billionaire. Well, you know what? Buddhist monk billionaire. Wow, that's an oxymoron. Personally, I think this Buddhist monk billionaire, in my opinion, should be taken to the glue factory and put in some Elmer's glue like they do the old fucking horses when they're outlive their time. Because that stuff is the most vile, toxic, poisonous, aspartame-ridden filth on the face of the planet. That stuff is pure aspartame, dude. Every time you put one of those in your body, your brain and your DNA just like dropping a fucking match in water. Yeah, that's what your DNA does and your brain does every time you drink a 5-hour energy drink. A Buddhist monk billionaire? Most Buddhist monks don't have time to be billionaires. They're generally devoting their time to, meditation and prayer and all that stuff. Don't really have time to be creating 5-hour energy drinks. I mean, this is that stuff is pure poison, man. I never understood why it just absolutely had to have aspartame in it. I never understood that. And most of the competing ones do. Why can't you just make a 5-hour energy thing and that's it? Why does it have to have the added bonus of, brain cancer? Oh, but that's what a caring, loving Buddhist monk does. Yeah, that's really looking out for all the people. Brain cancer. Yeah, thanks. Give Buddhists a bad name, dude. Take him to the glue factory. Fucking get that thing that guy had in that movie. No Country for Old Men. No Country for Old Men. The fucking bolt gun. He's on counts. Send you to the Enlightenment, dude. Right now. Shyness and grieving are soon to be classified as mental illness. Yeah, everything is now. Everything has to be an illness or an itis or something else of that nature so they can prescribe you a medication for it. Millions of healthy people, including shy or defiant children, grieving relatives and people with fetishes, may be wrongly labeled mentally ill by a new international diagnostic manual, specialist said on Thursday. In a damning analysis of an upcoming revision of the influential Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, psychologists, psychiatrists, and mental health experts said its new categories and tick box diagnostic systems were at best silly and at worst worrying and dangerous. Some diagnoses for conditions like oppositional defiant disorder and apathy syndrome risk devaluing the seriousness of mental illness and medicalizing behaviors most people would consider normal or just mildly eccentric. Yeah, that's what they want. You've read 1984, right? If you haven't read it, you've at least seen the movie, right? Come on. If you haven't at least seen the goddamn movie and you haven't fucking picked up the book and read it, at least see the goddamn movie. Come on. William Hurt, you'll love it. That's everybody on the same level. At the other end of the spectrum, the new DSM due out next year could give medical diagnosis for serial rapists and sex abusers under labels like paraphilic coercive disorder, and may allow offenders to escape prison by providing what could be seen as an excuse for their behavior. Oh, right. Well, that's just what we need. So we'll have more pedophiles and we'll have more serial rapists and sex abusers, because now they're going to be able to say, oh, well, it's not their fault. They have a disorder. Now, that's change you can believe in right there, isn't it? They have a brain disorder that made him serial rape and sex abuse all them people. It ain't his fault. You got to give him some drugs. Bolt gun. Thunk. The DSM is published by the American Psychiatric Association and has description, symptoms, and other criteria for diagnosing mental disorders. I'll tell you where the fucking mental disorders coming from. That's the people that run this fucking planet. The end. You will live longer if you tell people you're healthy, as positive thinking lengthens life. Yeah, absolutely. Mind over matter, man. The power of positive thinking, the power of manifestation. And just as we've always known, we're going to start to see more and more of this being verified by scientific studies. Promoting your own well-being will help you live longer, say scientists. A study found that participants who described feeling very well had a lower risk of dying compared to those who reported being in very poor state. Researchers took into account other risk factors affecting life expectancy, including tobacco, chronic diseases, and high blood pressure. The latest findings support previous studies which suggest positive thinking can promote healing. Well, absolutely. And on the flip side of that as well, when people go through stuff like what my dad went through with the cancer, they oftentimes, and I think this was partly the case with my dad, the will to live, the will to want to live can overpower any cancer and any of the poison, the chemo, and all that other stuff and radiation they give you. It can kill that for a period of time. It is that powerful. The will to live and the mind over that. And I believe for the better part of the 4 years that my dad lived after he was diagnosed with cancer, I think the better part of those years, that was exactly the case. And I think in the end, he was just tired of fighting it. He was just tired, He was just worn out. And so at that point, when someone becomes worn out, any kind, you can have the miracle cure in front of you, and you're not going to save them, And these things operate on a conscious level, ladies and gentlemen. They also operate on a subconscious level, but simultaneously they're operating on those levels. It's amazing. And I don't know. It's very strange. I know that for a fact, though, that keeping a positive mental attitude and being, viewing things. If you're just negative, and I hate people that are just negative all the time just to be negative. It just drives me crazy. Why be that way? I hate people like that. Can't stand it. Just because you want to be in your little self-righteous little bullshit world, get mad when everybody else won't be in your little negative Nancy world with you. God, I can't stand fucking people like that. I don't have time for candy for it. Man, this, I got to tell you, a lot of people have said a lot of things about, actors and Hollywood actors and have said a lot of things about, well-known people in the media and the press and the tabloids before. And, people say ridiculous shit about people all the time, man, in the media and the culture, and stuff doesn't come out, end up out being true, but, sometimes it is, like, what's his name? Richard Gere, the gerbil story, right? Part of you says, that's right, that probably wasn't true. That's probably an urban legend. And then the other part of you goes, it probably actually is true. But, when all these, wild accusations are always thrown around about people in Hollywood, and very rarely do these people ever feel the need to come out and rebuke or rebut any of these, things, unless, in some cases, extreme cases, you might see it. But I find this fascinating. I remember a few months ago, I think back in September, we'd covered the story about this guy on eBay selling the picture, the vampire picture that looked, look at this picture of this guy that looked a lot like Nicolas Cage. And it does absolutely look like him. I mean, his eyebrows, if you really look at this, the back to back of the pictures, it really does look a lot like him. But he's now went on the David Letterman show rebutting this and, specifically saying, oh, no, it's a somewhat slowed down version of me. There's a photograph of me and you can't take pictures. I don't drink blood. And the last time I looked in the mirror, I had a reflection. So this is interesting. Now it's got everybody going, okay, he actually is a fucking vampire. Great. Nicholas Coppola, Merovingian there. That wouldn't surprise me in the least. But I mean, you know what I mean? If you're not a vampire, I mean, really, how many people that are, would be accused of that would feel the need to go on TV and rebut it? I mean, I think we can close the books on that one, Dano. We got ourselves a real honest-to-God vampire here. What do you think? NRA is fear-mongering their guts out right now. Of course, it's an election year. NRA always does that. NRA official says Obama wants to outlaw guns in his second term. Oh, man, they're ramping it up. They're ramping it up, aren't they? It's unbelievable, man. This week I went and looked at some of the different alternative media sites that I hadn't looked at in a long time. I just can't believe. It's unbelievable. I mean, every one of these sites is just, ramp up. It's just, this is it. Rah! It's unbelievable. The hype and the bullshit and the fear and just the phony crap that's being perpetuated. Meanwhile, there's so many deeper things that we could be looking into, and we're just, so many people are getting distracted by this politics horse shit. Meanwhile, time is moving on, and things that a couple of years from now we're going to wish we would have paid attention to are going on. Well, that's where I come in. So apparently Lady Gaga now is going to be using some high-frequency mind control waves at her concerts that are inaudible to the human ear and can be picked up by like smartphones and stuff and link you to websites. And she's known for her trendy music and being on the cutting edge of fashion, but Lady Gaga has also been pioneering a sonic technology that's set to transform experiences at live events. I mean, this just sounds like some voice to skull, MK Ultra type stuff right here, folks. And look at the stuff that we've already seen out of Lady Gaga. I mean, I knew second one I saw like her first video, and she was doing the Eye of Horus thing, and there was the bedroom with the open curtains, and there's two dogs facing each other there, and you can see Canis Major, you can see Sirius right there in the background. I mean, that was like her first or second video. I was like, oh, come on. And then not to mention all the other stuff after that. So a sonic technology set to transform experiences at live events. At her Monsters Ball tour, she deployed a product made by U.S. startup Sonic Notify that transmits a signal to the smartphones of audience members that can link them to various websites and images and even give them a chance to vote for the encore song. A signal is cleverly embedded within a song or an audio track of some sort and then picked up by the Sonic Notify app. So right there, they admit that they are embedding a frequency that's inaudible to the human ear within the music itself at these live concerts. I don't know about you, but fuck that. Anytime you start embedding signals in there, that stuff originated, embedding those signals in there originated out of the U.S. Army's Special Operations MK Ultra stuff. It's a bit like a sonic version of a QR code, a scannable barcode used on some adverts that customers can read with their smartphones. I got to get a new preamp. This is my backup, and this one's fucked. We already hadn't gotten hardly dick squat in here for support last week or this week. I mean, we're down to just a few dollars. And I need a new preamp. They're like $200. I don't know. I mean, I apologize. Last night was stream problems. Nights, preamp problems. I thought that this would, because the other one doesn't work. It is working even worse. And this is the backup. I thought it would be okay, but it seems to be noisy. I don't know what else to do. I got to buy a new preamp. Maybe I can go trade something in this weekend at Guitar Center or something. I don't know. We'll see. It's a bit like a sonic version of a QR code, a scannable barcode used on some adverts that customers can read with their smartphones to access offers and more information. The app was developed as a result of band MGMT's record label, Cantora Records, opening a technology division and offering finance to promising startups. Sonic Notify was one of the first to benefit from this, and its app's popularity with event organizers is spreading fast. It transmits a high-frequency sound wave through speakers. We can't hear the frequency, but smartphones can hear it, so we're able to unlock content at live events, TV shows, and through the web. I mean, see, so they can access your phone as well with this frequency. And they can do it. That means that at concerts now, they can access all of the information on your smartphone. And your smartphone is like a fucking computer now, so you know you're going to have credit card data and all this other stuff on there. So that sets the precedent where now at concerts, they can be downloading everything out of your smartphone every time you go to a concert now, and you wouldn't even know it. On top of whatever they're signaling back the other way to you. You know, you go to a concert and then you come home and you wonder why you want to go buy, Oreo cookies at the store or go to the Jack in the Box drive-thru. Little did you know they programmed you with fucking subliminal advertising the whole time you went to the concert now through your smartphone, through these, high frequency beams. Unbelievable story. Just an unbelievable fucking story there. Really. Let me see if I have anything else tonight as far as the news. I think that's it. Yeah. Wasn't a lot of material tonight. We're going to take a break and come back. And when we come back from the break, we'll pick up and read some more out of Zachariah Sitchin's The End of Days here tonight. My website, theglobalreality.com. That's theglobalreality.com. And there you'll find the Chipping banner, and that is for our operating costs and our bills for the month. That's the amount we need. That's not a, first of the year fundraiser or anything else. That's the amount we need to operate for the month. And so please support us and help us out there. If you want to donate to future films and you want to help me get out some of these other products that I'm having trouble getting out because of a lack of funding, please do so. Use the donate button for that. And we also have the P.O. Box if you absolutely can't use. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight. And we're going to be getting into the End of Days. Zachariah Sitchin here for you tonight on the show. Like I said, some of the stuff we went through last night was just like biblical passages and stuff. I'm really not interested in going back through that again, so I'm just going to skip all that and just kind of back up a page or two from where I left off last night on the broadcast. Thanks so much for being with us. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. That's TheGlobalReality.com. And you'll find all the links up there to various items. We've got books up there, PDF. Those are, well, not PDFs, but audio books. Those are taken compiled by one of our listeners, and some of our listeners out there that have done that. Video clips up there. Buy SR2, where you can buy the Cigarette Volume 2 on Blu-ray and DVD, and get the different packages up there. Archives of past shows, news, and as well as our chip and banner and donate button, and that's how you support our work. And we only have a few dollars right now on our account, so we do need some help. So please help out if you can. With so much of the current political, military, and religious turmoil taking place in the lands of the Bible, and with the Bible itself serving as a key to the past and to the future, one must point out a caveat inserted by the biblical God in regard to the Promised Land. The boundaries running from the wilderness in the south to the Lebanon range in the north, and from the Euphrates in the east to the Mediterranean Sea in the west, were reconfirmed to Joshua. These, God said, were the promised boundaries. But to become an actual land grant, it had to be obtained by possession, akin to the planting of the flag by explorers in the recent past. The Israelites could possess and keep land where they actually set foot, tread with the soles of their feet. Therefore, God commanded the Israelites not to tarry and delay, but to cross the Jordan and fearlessly and systematically settle the Promised Land. But when the 12 tribes under the leadership of Joshua were done with the conquest and settlement of Canaan, only part of the areas east of the Jordan were occupied, nor were all of the lands west of the Jordan captured and settled. As far as the two space-related sites were concerned, their stories are totally different. Jerusalem, which was specifically listed in Joshua 12:10 and 18:28, was firmly in the hands of the tribe of Benjamin. But whether the northward advance attained the landing place in Lebanon is in doubt. Subsequent biblical references to the site called it the crest of Zaphon, the secret north place, what the area's dwellers, the Canaanite Phoenicians, also called it. Canaanite epics deemed it to be a sacred place of the god Adad, Enlil's youngest son. The crossing of the Jordan River, an accomplishment attained with the help of several miracles, took place opposite Jericho, and the fortified city of Jericho, west of the Jordan, was the Israelites' first target. The story of the tumbling of its walls and its capture includes a biblical reference to Samir, Shinar in Hebrew. In spite of the commandment to take no booty, one of the Israelites could not resist the temptation to keep a valued garment of Shinar. Well, especially if any Enki or any of his descendants are around. Definitely are always going to take some booty, for sure. Because Enki will take some booty to go in exchange for a bucket of his man gravy for you. The capture of Jericho and the town of Ai south of it opened the way to the Israelites' most important and immediate target, Jerusalem, where the mission control platform had been. The missions of Abraham and his descendants and God's covenants with them never lost sight of that site's centrality. As God told Moses, it is in Jerusalem that his earthly abode was to be. Now the promised prophecy could be fulfilled. The capture of the cities on the way to Jerusalem, along with the hill towns surrounding it, turned out to be a formidable challenge, primarily because some of them, and especially Hebron, were inhabited by children of the Anakim, descendants of the Anunnaki. Jerusalem, it will be recalled, ceased to function as mission control center when the spaceport in the Sinai was wiped out more than 6 centuries earlier. But according to the Bible, the descendants of the Anunnaki who had been stationed there were still residing in that part of Canaan. And it was Adonai Zedek, king of Jerusalem, who formed an alliance with 4 other kings in 4 other cities to block the Israelite advance. The battle that ensued at Gib was on in the valley of Ailon, just north of Jerusalem, took place on a unique day, the day the earth stood still. For the better part of that day, the sun stopped and the moon stood still. Joshua 10:14, enabling the Israelites to win that crucial battle, a parallel but reverse occurrence when nighttime lasted an extra 20 hours, took place on the other side of the world in the Americas. In the biblical view, then, God himself assured Jerusalem would come into Israelite hands. No sooner was kingship established under David than he was commanded by God to clear the platform atop Mount Moriah and sanctify it for Yahweh's temple. And ever since Solomon built that temple there, Jerusalem, Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount have remained uniquely sacred. There is indeed no other explanation why Jerusalem, a city not at major crossroads, far from waterways, with no natural resources, has been coveted and sacred since antiquity. Deemed to be a singular city, a navel of the earth. The comprehensive list of captured cities given in Joshua chapter 12 names Jerusalem as the third city, following Jericho and Ai as firmly in Israelite hands. The story was no different, however, in regard to the northern space-related sites. The Cedar Mountains of Lebanon run in two ranges, the Lebanon on the west and the Anti-Lebanon on the east, separated by the Becca, the cleft, a canyon-like valley that has been known since Canaanite times as the Lord's Cleft, or Baal Becca, hence Baalbek. Ah, there we go. So Baalbek indeed it does come from Baal or Baal, yeah, the bull god that represented Marduk. God, that just made so much sense, when we found that out, or when I found that out, or reading that the other day. Just knowing what I know about, the biblical stuff and how, the Jews were worshiping Baal and that was, that was the big contention between the Jews. They were worshiping Baal and they didn't want the new guy, Jesus, to come in and ruin their game, even though, we know now Baal, Marduk, Jesus, Jehovah, Yahweh. I mean, it's all Anunnaki in the end, isn't it? Oh, man. The idea, I still just hadn't wrapped my head around, got covered with the idea that we were fucking seeded by Klingons. Every goddamn time. Literally, horny fucking Klingons seeded life on Earth and set up the New World Order. The end. That's my new book. It'll be out in Barnes & Noble next week. Please buy it. That's all. It'll be Josh Reeves, all you ever needed to know about the world. We were seeded by horny Klingons. They set up the New World Order. The end. Oh, man. The current name of the site of the landing place on the edge of the eastern range facing the valley, the kings of the Mount of the North, are listed in the book of Joshua as having been defeated. A place called Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon is listed as captured, but whether Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon is just another name for Baal Becca is uncertain. We are told in Judges 1:33 that the tribe of Naphtali did not disinherit the dwellers of Beth Shemesh, the abode of Shemesh, the sun god, and that could be a reference to the site, for the later Greeks called the place Heliopolis, the city of the sun. Though later the territories under kings David and Solomon extended to include Beth Shemesh, it was only temporarily so. The primary failure to establish Israelite hegemony over the northern space-related site made it available to others. A century and a half after the Exodus, the Egyptians attempted to take possession of that available landing space, but were met by an opposing Hittite army. The epic battle is described in words and illustrations on the walls of Karnak's temples. Known as the Battle of Kadesh, it ended with an Egyptian defeat. But the war and the battle exhausted both sides so much that the landing place, was left in the hands of the local Phoenician kings of Tyre, Sidon, and Byblos, the biblical Gebel. The prophets Ezekiel and Amos, who called it the place of the gods, as well as the Eden abode, recognized it as belonging to the Phoenicians. The Phoenician kings of the first millennium BCE were well aware of the site's significance and purpose within its depiction on a Phoenician coin. From Byblos, the prophet Ezekiel admonished the king of Tyre for haughtily believing that, having been to the sacred site of the Elohim, he had himself become a god. Thou hast been to a sacred mount. As a god wherest thou moving within the fiery stones. And you became haughty, saying, a god am I, at the place of the Elohim I was. But you are just man, not God. It was at that time that the prophet Ezekiel, in exile in the old country, near Haran on the Kabur River, saw divine visions of a celestial chariot, a flying saucer. But that tale must be postponed to a later chapter. Here it is more important to note that of the two space-related sites, only Jerusalem was retained by the followers of Yahweh. The first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, known as the Torah, the teachings, cover the story from creation, Adam and Noah, to the patriarchs and Joseph in Genesis. The other 4 books, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, tell the story of the Exodus on the one hand, and on the other hand enumerate the rules and regulations of the new religion of Yahweh. That a new religion encompassing a priestly way of life was promulgated is explicitly made clear. You shall neither do what is done in the land of Egypt where you had dwelt, nor as is wont in the land of Canaan whence I am bringing you. You shall neither behave like them nor follow their statutes. Leviticus 18, 2-3. Having established the basics of the faith, you shall have no other God before me, and its moral and ethical code, as just in the 10 Commandments, they follow page after page of detailed dietary requirements, rules for priestly rites and vestments, medical teachings, agricultural directives, architectural instructions, family and sexual conduct regulations, property and criminal laws, and so on. They reveal extraordinary knowledge You guys done, thank you. They reveal extraordinary knowledge in virtually every scientific discipline, expertise in metals and textiles, acquaintance with legal systems and societal issues, familiarity with lands, history, customs, and gods of other nations, and certain numerological preferences. The theme of 12, as in the 12 tribes of Israel, or in the 12 months of the year, is obvious. Obvious, too, is the predilection for 7, most predominantly in the realm of festivals and rituals, and in establishing a week of 7 days and consecrating the 7th day as the Sabbath. 40 is a special number, as in 40 days and 40 nights, that Moses spent upon Mount Sinai, or the 40 years decreed for the Israelite wandering in the Sinai wilderness. These are numbers familiar to us from the Sumerian tales. The 12 of the solar system and the 12-month calendar of Nippur, the 7 as the planetary number of the earth, when the Anunnaki counted from the outside in, and of Enlil as Earth Commander, the 40 as Ea, Enki's numerical rank. The number of 50 is also present. 50, as the reader knows, was a number with sensitive aspects. It was the original rank number of Enlil and the stand-in rank of his heir apparent, Ninurta. And more significantly, in the days of the Exodus, it connotated symbolism to Marduk and his 50 names. Extra attention is therefore called when we find that 50 was granted extraordinary importance. It was used to create a new unit of time, the 50-year Jubilee. While the calendar of Nippur was clearly adopted as the calendar by which the festivals and other Israelite religious rites were to be observed, special regulations were dictated for the 50th year. It was given a special name, that of a Jubilee year. A hallowed Jubilee year it shall be unto you, Leviticus chapter 25. In such a year, unprecedented freedoms were to take place. The count was to be done by counting the New Year's Day of Atonements for 7 years, sevenfold, 49 times. Then on the Day of Atonement on the year thereafter, the 50th year, the trumpet call of a ram's horn was to be sounded throughout the land, and freedom was to be proclaimed for the land and all who dwelled in it. People should return to their families, property should return to its original owners, all land and house sales shall be redeemable and undone, slaves who had been treated at all times as hired help shall be set free, and liberty shall be given the land itself by leaving it fallow that year. As much as the concept of a year of freedom is novel and unique, the choice of 50 as a calendrical unit seems odd. We have adopted 100, a century, as a convenient unit of time. Then the name given to such a once in 50 year is even more intriguing. The word that is translated Jubilee is Yavel in the Hebrew Bible, and it means a ram. So one can say that what was decreed was a year of the ram to repeat itself every 50 years and to be announced by sounding the ram's horn. Both the choice of 50 for the new time unit and its name raise the unavoidable question. Was there a hidden aspect here related to Marduk and his age of the ram? Were the Israelites told to keep counting 50 years until some significant divine event relating either to the age of the ram or to the holder of the rank of 50, when everything shall turn back to a new beginning? While no obvious answer is offered in those biblical chapters, one cannot avoid searching for clues by pursuing a significant and very similar year unit on the other side of the world, not 50, but 52. It was the secret number of the Mesoamerican god Quetzalcoatl. We know Quetzalcoatl was also Thoth, who, according to Aztec and Mayan legends, gave them civilization, including their 3 calendars. In Lost Realms, we have identified Quetzalcoatl as the Egyptian god Thoth, whose secret number was 52. A calendrical-based number for it represented the 52 weeks of 7 days in a solar year. The oldest of the 3 Mesoamerican calendars is known as the Long Count. It counted the number of days from a day 1 that scholars have identified as August 13th, 3113 BCE. Alongside this continuous but linear calendar, there were 2 cyclical calendars. One, called the Hob, was a solar year calendar of 365 days divided into 18 months of 20 days each, plus an additional 5 special days at the year's end. The other was called the Tzolk'in, a sacred calendar of only 260 days, composed of a 20-day unit rotated 13 times. The 2 cyclical calendars were then meshed together as 2 geared wheels to create the sacred round of 52 years. When these 2 counts returned to their common starting point and started the counts all over again. This bundle of 52 years was a most important unit of time because it was linked to the promise of Quetzalcoatl, who at some point left Mesoamerica to return on his sacred year. The Mesoamerican people therefore used to gather on mountains every 52 years to expect the promised return of Quetzalcoatl. In one such sacred year, 1519 AD, a white-faced and bearded Spaniard, Hernando Cortez, landed at Mexico's Yucatan coast and was welcomed by the Aztec king Montezuma as the returning god, a costly mistake as we now know. In Mesoamerica, the bundle year served for a countdown to the promised year of return, and the question is, was the Jubilee year intended to serve a similar purpose? Searching for an answer, we find that when the linear 50-year time unit is meshed with the zodiacal cyclical unit of 72, the time that a shift of 1 degree requires, we arrive at 3600, which was the mathematical orbiting period of Nibiru. By linking a Jubilee calendar and the zodiacal calendar to Nibiru's orbit, was the biblical God saying, when you enter the promised land, start the countdown to the return? Some 2,000 years ago, during a time of great messianic fervor, it was recognized that Jubilee was a divinely inspired time unit for predicting the future, for calculating when the meshed geared wheels of time will announce the return. That recognition underlies one of the most important post-biblical books known as the Book of Jubilees. Though available now only from its Greek and later translations, it was originally written in Hebrew, as fragments found among the Dead Sea Scrolls confirm. Based on earlier extra-biblical treatises and sacred traditions, it rewrote the book of Genesis and part of Exodus according to a calendar based on the Jubilee time unit. It was a product, all scholars agree, of messianic expectations at the time when Rome occupied Jerusalem, and its purpose was to provide a means by which to predict when the Messiah shall come and when the end of days shall occur. It is the very task that we have undertaken. So that's the end of chapter 9 there. The next chapter is going to be chapter 10, The Cross on the Horizon. So we'll pick up on that next time. Yeah, there you go. Yet again, fascinating stuff. And glad that we could get into this and continue to read this. And, some of it meshes with some of the stuff I've researched, some of the stuff it doesn't. I just still cannot see why there's this. I mean, after we've already established that Marduk is a person and that anything to do with him being a planet is absolutely symbolic. And they're more talking about the return of this Marduk character than the return of a planet. And while he constantly goes back to that, even after he already affirms that, Marduk is an individual, a god, it just reeks of this, reinforcement of this Nibiru as the destroyer and the planet and stuff coming back, which I think is just total bull. I just have never seen any proof of that. So there you go. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and being with us here tonight for the show. Please support our work if you can at theglobalreality.com. Use the chipping banner or the donate button there and help us out if you can, folks. And we could use your support right now. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. You guys have yourself a fantastic weekend, and I'll be back with you for the music show Sunday night. Have a great one.